The little club that did big things, that's what they used to call the Mariners, Robbie Thompson. And the last 2 years suggest the Mariners have refound their mojo. Last year was a great debut season for Nick Montgomery. What does he have to do to build on that this year, do you think?
I think he's just going to build on it naturally. It's an organic progression when you coach for the first time at senior level. You learn a lot, and I think Nick Montgomery learnt a lot last season. But taking that side to the finals was a fantastic achievement as well. He came through the youth ranks there. He played there. He's a club man through and through. And I think it's just going to be a natural progression for him, provided, there's a certain stability around the club now. You talk about the little club that was basically run on the smell of an oily rag for so long, and it was hit and miss. There was a bad season, then a good season, then a bad season, and they lacked that stability. Perhaps the new owner, Richard Pell, who's come in, will provide that as well. But I think the fact that they've kept the coach, that he's going to build on what he did. They've lost players, they always do. They'll bring other players in. But I think it's a positive sign. I think they did brilliantly last season, and perhaps the fact that it was 2 good years in a row suggests that maybe the Mariners have turned the corner.
Roy O'Donovan, as Robbie mentioned, they lose players as they do every year. Marco Urena for me though is a big loss. A very smart player, really intelligent player with his movement off the ball. I think he allowed Jason Cummings to really shine as soon as he arrived. What's your take on that?
It's a big loss, yeah. Look, it's not a big loss in terms of goals because I don't think he was their main goal threat, but it's a big loss in terms of credibility. Great CV, as you said, clever player, and now Mariners on paper, besides Danny Vukovic, Jason Cummings, they're pretty, it's a pretty bargain basement team. It's not big names, it's not Las Vegas, but having said that, I said about Monty last year when he got the job, I worried they would struggle because looking at their team sheet, they should get beat every week. They got to the finals, so. They've signed a striker this year in Paulo Yongo, Ghanaian, 25, good age, from Portugal. Now, again, a bit of an unknown coming into the A-League, got a big point to prove for me. So I'm looking at it, they're relying a lot on Jason Cummings staying fit, scoring goals, and maybe threatening for a golden boot if they're going to have any success. Danny Vukovic, terrific signing. Having said that, Mark Birighitti was the best keeper in the league last year for me. So, Vukovic is a safe pair of hands, been at the club before. But, they've lost a couple. Bozanic, it wasn't really a loss for them last year, as good as he is as a player. I think Monty has built it more on a team structure rather than big names, one main player. So, I hope for his sake they carry on the way they did last year because, if you're gonna look at the team sheet, they're not going to have much success.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that in terms of a goal threat, it was really the arrival of Cummings that sparked that team into action and set them up on that run to the finals. They needed that. They were lacking that. It brought Benny Nkololo back to life as well after a good start. He was not finding his place in the side. Monty showed that he could adapt, that he could bring in players, that he could, and it was that team ethic, that teamwork that was, and they were without Bozanic as well in the back end of last season. He's now finally left. With the Mariners, it seems to be always more about the players that left than the players come in. It's how quick those players coming in can make that impact, like Cummings did. Let's not forget they've got a youngster by the name of Garang Kuol, at least for another couple of months.
Yeah, we'll have to see how long they have him for. Kai Rolls, though, is going to be a big loss. His ascension to the Socceroos was remarkable. He's such a calm player for someone so young, made the A-League All-Stars team as well. Now he's gone to Scotland. How does Monty replace him?
Well, that's, again, you have to bring in like for like. You need to replace in terms of just in the squad. You lose a central defender. You've got to bring in a good central defender, someone with experience. We know that they've done their shopping in Portugal this summer. There's also Kelechi John, the Nigerian. Again, these guys on paper look good. 25-year-old, 24-year-old. They've been playing 3 or 4 years in Portugal in the second division, Benfica B. I mean, these are resumes that show that these guys that have come from Africa, Ghanaian and Nigerian, know how to play football. They've been through a football school in Europe. The question is, how quickly can they settle? For me, that's the big thing. And Kai Rolls was an exceptional talent. They've lost him. They've lost Birighitti. We know that a combination between a goalkeeper and a central defender are so important for stability. Miller as well has gone, the fullback, who is a big, strong unit as well. This will take time. The question is, how quickly can it all gel?
And they've done it for a long time as well. I mean,
yeah, it's not
Mariners.
new.
Yeah, it's the way they do it. They progress. They won't stand in your way. You do well, you can progress. That's the beauty of the Mariners.
Yeah.
And they've done it so many times before with past Socceroos, you know. So that's what they've done, and you know they've done historically. But as you said, it's a challenge.
What does success look like for the Barons this season?
If they can get to the top 6, that's success. I think we've mentioned it a couple of times now. Monty, the team ethic, they've bought in, no doubt, done a great job in that regard. They need their best players, their leaders, Jason Cummings to stay fit, score goals, Danny Vukovic to lead the team, and in midfield, there's a big hole there for somebody to take over now. The mantle that Bozanic has left, the skipper, the leader, the ball player. So will it be a young Josh Nisbet that you know stands on his own 2 feet now as the main man for Mariners? There's a lot of opportunity, and Mariners give you that, but it won't be easy, that's for sure.
No, experience wins championships, you know, and that's always the question at the start of a season for the Mariners. If they do it, they'll do it on adrenaline, on a great feeling, on a good vibe where everyone came together and they were on a roll. If they don't have that experience, if you don't have those old heads to bring it through, sometimes it can be a struggle.